The storm was unforgiving. Lightning tore the sky apart. Wind screamed across the empty road. The white-faced twin, full of attitude and ego, suddenly realized that storms don't fear anyone. Not beauty, not pride, not arrogance. Her hands trembled, her voice cracked, and for the first time her confidence broke. But in the heart of that violent night, the girl she always insulted, her black-faced twin, gentle as a warm lantern in darkness, stepped forward with courage. "Hold my hand," she whispered. And in that moment, the rude twin discovered a truth the storm forcers see. Kindness is stronger than fear, and love is louder than any thunder. The storm wasn't supposed to arrive until morning, but nature never asks permission, never waits for warnings, never respects the fragile timing of human plans. It came roaring in early, cruel, hungry, violent, like a monster made of wind and water. Clouds gathered so thick they swallowed the moon whole. Trees bent as if every branch was confessing defeat. Darkness pressed against the world, turning streets into rivers of shadow. And somewhere in that collapsing night were two sisters, twins, linked not by appearance but by fate. The white-faced twin walked faster, boots slamming against the wet ground. She hated rain, hated storms, hated anything that made her feel small, but most of all she hated admitting that she was scared. Fear, to her, was an enemy she had never learned to fight. So instead, she hid it behind attitude, behind sharp words, behind the glare she wore like armor. She believed that if she stayed loud, no one would hear her heart shaking inside her chest. But the storm didn't care about her ego. Thunder cracked so violently the ground trembled beneath her feet. Her breath hitched as she looked up. Sky split open by a furious white flash. She pulled her jacket tighter, but the wind ripped it open again. Her hair clung to her face, soaked, cold, heavy. Every step she took felt like a war against nature itself. "Can this night get any worse?" she muttered angrily. Behind her, walking steadily despite the chaos, the black-faced twin kept a soft pace. Her footsteps were quieter, calmer, almost gentle against the ground. Unlike her sister, she didn't fight the storm. She moved with it, letting the wind wrap around her instead of pushing it away. Well, the white-faced twin was fire, hot, unpredictable, loud. The black-faced twin was water, calm, patient, kind. "Slow down," she called softly to the howl of the rain. "No," the white-faced twin snapped without turning back. "You slow down." But even as she said the words, her voice cracked. The storm swallowed her sound instantly, making her arrogance seem smaller than ever. The black-faced twin continued walking, her pace steady. Her eyes stayed warm even as rain stung against her skin. She wasn't afraid of the storm, not because she was strong, but because she had learned long ago that fear loses power when faced with love. And she loved her sister more than anything, even more than she understood. Lightning flashed again, closer this time, brighter, harsher. The white-faced twin froze mid-step, her heart slamming against her ribs. The bolt hit a tree not far away, sending sparks and shatter would flying across the road. She fell backward, landing in cold water that splashed up to her ears. Her breath fractured into broken pieces. Her hands trembled. Her eyes widened with the rawness of terror. She could no longer pretend she didn't feel. For a moment, she forgot how to move. The black-faced twin rushed to her side instantly. "Are you hurt?" Don't touch me," the white-faced twin snapped as she scrambled to her feet, but her voice was shaking so badly that even her anger sounded afraid. The wind slammed into them again. Rain hammered down harder, each drop like needles against the skin. The air tasted like metal, sharp with electricity. The storm was getting worse. Much worse. The white-faced twin wiped her face, but the rain replaced every tear she tried to hide. She hated this, hated feeling weak, hated that she couldn't control the sky, or her own fear, hated that her sister was watching her fall apart. She took a step forward and slipped again. Her knees hit the road, scraping against the rough surface. She let out a frustrated cry. "Why is everything going wrong?" "Because you never listen. Because you run from the things that matter. Because you think you don't need anyone." The silent truths echoed in her mind, but she didn't speak them. The black-faced twin knelt beside her, rain pouring down her face like falling stars. She wasn't angry. She wasn't frustrated. She just looked at her sister with that same soft expression she always carried. "Take my hand," she said gently. The white-faced twin jerked her hand away. "I don't need help." Another explosion of thunder shook the sky, so violently the ground vibrated. This time, she flinched so hard tears spilled over her cheeks. "I said I don't need—" Another bolt struck, closer. "Please," she whispered instead, voice breaking completely. "Just make it stop." Her sister didn't answer with words. She simply placed a warm hand on the white-faced twin's shoulder. Even through the cold storm, that touch felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. The white-faced twin collapsed forward, her forehead pressing into her sister's shoulder. Not because she wanted to, but because she finally couldn't pretend anymore. And the black-faced twin wrapped her arms around her, holding her gently despite the storm screaming around them. "You're safe," she whispered. "I'm here." Those simple words cut through the rage of the storm and reached a place deep inside the white-faced twin that had never been touched before, a place she kept locked away behind walls made of pride. Her entire body shook, not from the cold, but from the realization she had avoided her whole life. Her sister was the one person who had never abandoned her, not even when she was cruel, not even when she pushed her away, not even when she acted like she didn't care. Lightning lit up the sky again, but instead of fear, she felt something else in that moment, something warm, something grounding, something she had never allowed herself to feel. Trust. Her sister slowly helped her stand. "We'll get through this storm together." "But I'm the one who always treats you badly," the white-faced twin whispered. "Why are you still here?" The black-faced twin smiled softly, the kind of smile that felt like home even in the rain. "Because storms don't scare me. Losing you does." The white-faced twin felt tears burn her eyes again, but this time they weren't from fear. The storm raged around them, but something inside her began to calm. They walked together, step by step, through the darkness, through the wind, through the chaos. The white-faced twin held onto her sister's hand tightly, realizing that strength isn't always about being tough. Sometimes strength is knowing when you cannot stand alone. And the black-faced twin walked with quiet courage, knowing that kindness is not weakness. It is the strongest form of love, especially when given to someone who doesn't know how to receive it. As they moved through the storm, the world around them felt different, not because the storm had weakened, but because they had changed. Sometimes the loudest lessons come from the quietest hearts. Sometimes the greatest storms bring out the truth we needed to see. Sometimes the person we treat the worst becomes the person who saves us. Night continued to howl, but the twins moved forward like two small lights against a raging sky. One frightened, one fearless, both connected by something unbreakable. Sisterhood. And somewhere deep inside the white-faced twin, a new understanding began to grow. A seed that the storm had planted, watered by her sister's kindness. Kindness doesn't need the world's permission to shine. It just shines. Even in darkness. Even in thunder. Even in the heart of a storm. The storm taught a truth no one had ever told her. Pride breaks in thunder, but kindness stands even in darkness. Courage is not loud. It is gentle, steady, patient. It is a hand that doesn't let go when fear becomes bigger than words. The rude twin learned that night that the strongest love is the one that stays, even when you don't deserve it. Storms don't just destroy, they reveal the people who truly care. And sometimes, the heart you hurt the most is the heart that saves you.